Hello guys, this is my sixth video, and today we're going to be learning about Python lists. And Python lists are actually a very useful tool in Python, and we're going to be having a lot of fun with it throughout the series. So it's actually pretty interesting to learn about. It's quite similar to real life lists, and it's really fascinating. So let's go over to Visual Studio Code and or any IDE you have, right? Remember. So I've created this empty file named lists where we will learn what they are. Okay, so our agenda for today is obviously to learn lists, and list methods. Also, actually, I forgot to add this, but we're also going to be learning indexing, which is very essential in Python. Do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things with it. So we're going to be discussing a couple of features of lists, and so before we get on to learning about lists, I want to talk about something that's been going on. So I haven't been posting for some time, and I apologize for that. But I think I am going to start posting new videos now, and my goal is when we reach 10 subscribers, I'm going to make a special video, and then 15 subscribers, 20 subscribers. I'm going to keep creating milestones like this so that we can, have special videos just celebrating how many subscribers I have. And so that's all I wanted to tell you. So you should be expecting more frequent videos in the future. And and thank you so much for watching my videos and being patient. So yeah. Now let's go back. And like I was saying, let's learn about lists. So remember how we define variables, right? So let's say a variable called var, and we're gonna say, let's say it's a string, which is hello. So we place the variable name and equals sign, and then the value that we want the variable to have. Now let's define a list. Okay, so the reason I'm not like naming the list is because, like I said, list is already a keyword in Python, and we don't want Python to get confused with our variable list and the Python list keyword. So we're actually, programmers like to call this ls, the word list, and we're actually gonna we define lists with square brackets. So basically these are square brackets. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, then if you just type in the left square bracket, it will automatically generate the right square bracket for you. For example, like this. All right, and this is called an empty list. Nothing inside, just two square brackets. Empty lists are useful, but right now we don't want to create an empty list. We want to put some items inside, and it's similar to real life lists, as in, you know how lists are collections of items or objects or ideas, basically anything, right? It's similar to Python. It's similar to lists in Python. Python lists can, basically they can store anything, like any data type is what I mean. Whether it's a string, an integer, a boolean, or even another list, list can store pretty much anything. And so if we want to put something in our list, let's say we want to put the numbers 1 through 5. So we have this empty list, and right now this is what I'm gonna do. 5. And this may be new to you, and it probably, if it's new to you, then you probably won't know what's happening here. But basically, items in lists are separated by a comma, but you can do a comma and a space too. I just like to put a space after the comma just for organization purposes, to make it look organized, sort of, for me. So in this list, we are storing 5 objects. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So instead of having multiple variables for each number, we can just create one list containing every single number. Okay, and not only is that so neat, right? It saves a lot of time, and it's pretty convenient data storage tool. Now we can take items from this list. So what I mean by that is that we can take indexes, and what I mean by indexes is positions of these numbers in the list. Now, something that I need to tell you about Python is that, you know how whenever we were a kid, we learned the numbers, but when we learned counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Python is different. It starts with 0. So actually, you may think that that the position of this number 1 in the list, the position is 1, right? Because it's the first item in the list. But it's actually 0. Yeah, so it's 0 because Python just begins with 0. It can get confusing sometimes. Let's say you want Python to grab the value of the 4th item in the list. The 4th item is, right, it's 4. But the 4th index would actually be 5, since this would be 0, 1, 2. So 1 would be 0, 2 would be 1, 3 would be 2, 4 would be 3, 5 would be 4, and like the index of those numbers. So while, let's say, 3 is still the 3rd item in the list, it's actually the 2nd index. And okay, great, we have a list, but how do we extract the values of that list? So if, for example, by printing var, we can print the value hello. Let's print that. All right, so here we go. We have hello, right? We have hello. And that's because when we told Python to print var, it went to var. Then it's like Python's like, what's the value of var? So it took the value hello and it printed that. So when we tell Python to print var, then it's gonna print hello. But if we tell it to print ls, it's gonna give us like the basic raw list, right? Like let me show you. Let me run this. This is not what we want. This isn't very convenient. We don't want the raw list. How can we get, let's say, the 2nd item of the list? Let's say we want number 2, right? How are we going to do that? So we're gonna use square brackets again. So you're gonna have to get pretty familiar with square brackets while using Python. So we have to put square brackets right next to the list. So the list right now that we have is ls, and then we're gonna put 2 square brackets right next to it and put in the number. So if we want 2, if you want the number 2, if you want the 2nd number in the list, for example, then we're gonna put 1, because the 2nd item in a list is the 1st index, right? Because the 1st item in the list isn't the 1st index; it's the 0th index. So when we do print ls, index 1, then it's going to give us the second item in the list, which is 2. If I'm gonna go ahead and print that, as you can see, we have 2. So this is a very common beginner's mistake. So people might think, oh, I want the second number in the list, so I'm just gonna do ls index 2. But hold on, why did I get a 3? Yeah, because I know that it can be sometimes frustrating, but yeah, you're gonna have to learn that and get used to it if you want to be able to code in Python. Okay, so we have that. That is how we index in Python. And there are still a few other things that I'd like to show you. So if you go back to our agenda, we've gone over it can store any data type, right? And items can be called by indexing. Now, the word mutable, what does it mean? We don't know what it means. Mutable means being able to, prone to changing, basically. So if something is mutable, it can be changed. The items in a list can be changed. So what? Go back to file. What I mean by this is that we can replace items in the list. We can switch around the list. We can do whatever we want with it because we can change it. However, we can't change strings, which I'm about to show you in a moment. So we can let's say we want to replace the let's say we want to replace the number 2 with the number 7. Okay, so let's say we want to make it 7. So how we can make Python do that is we can call the number 2 by writing down ls index 1, which is the item 2, and then we can put an equal sign and then put a 7 there. So so what that does is, what Python does here, let me actually comment this. I don't want this getting in our way. So basically what Python does here is when we tell it to change the list's first index into the integer 7, it takes the first index, which is the value 2, and it changes it to 7. So let's print the list actually. Print the list before we change it and then after we change it. So first we have the original list, then we print that original list, then we change the first index to 7, and then we print that list. So what this is going to do is it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's going to change the number 2 to 7, and then we have, voila, 1, 7, 3, 4, 5. So that's how you can change around values in lists, and that's what I meant by this being mutable. However, let's try to actually let me comment that. And what we can, let's say we want to change, so variables, so what's the difference between var and ls? One stores a string and one stores a list, right? So what we can do here, what I want to show you here actually is that we can't change strings. So if I do var 4 is a, so that would change hello to hella. But Python says, it gives you an error. It gives you an error saying string object does not support item assignment. And basically what it means by that is that you can't change, you can't reassign places in strings. strings are immutable, so you cannot change them. However, lists are mutable, because you can change them, as we saw over here. ls index 1 equals to 7. So yeah, that was what I wanted to show you. And now let's go over some list methods. What I mean by list methods is they're sort of like functions, so they do something, except they come after the list. So what I mean by that is ls dot, let's say, remove. First of all, let me just show you. In Visual Studio Code, if you do ls dot, it shows you a bunch of methods. So you can append something to a list. You can remove something from the list. You can sort the list. You can do a lot of stuff, as you can see here. And so let's do ls dot remove, and then let's remove. Let's say we want to remove 1. Actually, I don't, for the purposes of this method, I'm actually going to change up the list a bit and make it sorry, I'm gonna make it true and false. Just 2 Boolean values, nothing else. So if I do ls dot remove true and then I print ls, then it's actually going to just give me false, because there is this list true and false, and then it removed the true, and now all we're left with is false. So this is very useful, because you can remove anything like that in Python, which is so useful. Let's say we want to remove a value from a list. Let's say we have a list of students who have completed their there's a list of students who haven't completed their homework. Once they do complete their homework, you have to remove them off the list. How are you going to do that? You're going to use the list. You're going to use a remove method. So we put the name of this list, and then we do dot remove, and then we put dot remove, and then we put parentheses, and then inside the parentheses we put in whatever value we want to remove. And we had true here. So that's one method, and the other method that I want to show you, there are many methods. There are many list methods that we will go over in future videos, but right now I just really want to tell you two main methods, the remove method and then the append method. And so let's move on to the append method. Okay, so I'm going to comment this. I might need that later, actually. So basically, I'm just commenting them because I don't feel like deleting them. So now I'm going to add something to the list. And as you may think, Python does not have an add method. Sadly, it does not. Well, it does, but it's not what you think it is. So ls.append is the correct way to add something to a list. And if you don't know what append means, it just means add. Appending something means to add to something. So if you append something to a letter, you add something to a letter at the end of the letter. So ls.append, let's say we want to add the string a. Add a string with the character A. So now that we print the list, print ls, why don't you think about what, I'm going to give you some time. You can pause the video right now and think about what it's going to return. So it's going to add something to the list. It's going to add the value A. And what the append method actually does is it adds the A at the very end of the list, like it does in real life. Appending something means adding something to the end. So now we have, when we print ls, we have true, false, and a. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. And we can append many types of stuff. And we'll learn about how to append and remove things at certain indexes, but we'll do that later maybe. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. Oh wait. There's one last thing that I want to show you in this video. So like I've been doing like I've been doing it before, I just want to combine our knowledge of Python that we already know, like while loops and if statements and things like that, and we can combine that with lists. So I am actually going to comment this. I'm going to comment everything that we've done right now, and I'm actually going to create a brand new list. Just bring that to the bottom, and then we're going to create a new list called, I guess we could call it ls again, but it's actually going to be an empty list, so it has nothing right now. But let's say we want to make a forever loop while true, and actually, before we do that, I want to make a variable called count. And if you watch my second video, if you watch my previous video, I think that was the 5th video, you know where I'm going with this. If count is less than 10, if count is less than 10, then if count is less than 10, then if it is less than 10, then let's append. Then let's increase the value of count by 1, and then append ls.append. So we have ls, then we have the append method, and then inside the parentheses we have whatever we want to append, which is a value of count. Okay, and at the end we're gonna print ls. Perfect. So what I've done here is I have a list, an empty list ls, and then I have a variable with the value 0. While true, which is a forever loop that keeps on going, and actually that reminds me I need to do an else break. So, what happened? Right. Alright, so we have a forever loop, and it'll keep on going unless we break it. And if count is less than 10, and it is, initially it's less than 10 because it's 0, then we increase count by 1, and then we append the value of count to ls. So if we print that, you can see that it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So first ls was an empty list, and then we went through this while loop and kept appending like 1 to the list, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then it all piled up and created this list: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. And this happened because this loop kept on running. It kept on running, and as soon as count is no longer, less than 10, then the loop breaks. So we made it else break, right? So it became 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Count was 9. Count is still less than 10. Then count became 10. It was appended to the list. It became 10. It was appended to the list, and then when the loop ran again, then Python's like, hold on, you're not 10, you're not less than 10 anymore, you are 10. So then it broke the loop. So that's how we ended up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there we go. That was it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and please do me a favor by liking that video. Please. Okay, Alright, see you in the next video.